Multiple times a week, I get asked by countless females. To be fair, it's the only time where countless females actually want to talk to me. Fucking emotional damage there. They ask me, what's the best way to reduce fat in a certain place? And more often than not, they tend to ask around this. They say, okay, how do I lose fat around my arms because they feel a little bit flabby? Or how do I lose fat around my hips? My hips seem a little bit too wide and got a lot of fat on them. So the answer to that question is as pretty easy as what you'd expect from me. Create a calorie deficit, do it consistently, and the fat will start reducing. But let me explain a little bit why these places are probably the most prominent places as to why you've got fat around them, and ultimately why these are also the places in which the fat loss will occur probably last of all. So males and females are pretty different, and that also goes hand in hand with where we tend to distribute body fat around our bodies. So guys have something called androgenic fat, which is basically fat that is distributed upon certain areas. Usually it's around our stomach areas and on our back. And this is basically an evolutionary trait which has helped us survive. So when we were cavemen, when we went on long hunts, our bodies want to store as much fat as possible because it wanted to store as much energy as possible, especially for these long hunts, so that we could actually survive for days or even a week without food because we've got so many calories stored as body fat in our stomachs, or around the front of our stomachs anyway. Now on the other hand, females have something called gynoid fat, and gynoid fat is once again an evolutionary distribution of body fat. Ladies tend to have gynoid fat on their breasts, obviously, on their hips, around their arse, and also underneath their arms. And the reason for this is when females get pregnant, this distribution of body fat helps balance your center of gravity, because obviously when you get pregnant, your center of gravity changes, like you've got more weight in the front, and if you didn't have that gynoid fat, you'd probably find it pretty difficult to keep balanced. But basically what you need to understand is that if you have body fat around a certain area, as I said, if you're a female and it's around your arms or around your hips, then that is an evolutionary distribution of body fat. So when you're trying to lose body fat and you're trying to lose body fat in these specific areas, understand that you are actually fighting against millions and millions of years of evolution, which means that these places are probably going to put up the biggest fight. I would go into more detail about the insulin sensitivity at these places and why it might be a little bit more difficult to lose fat in these places, but I'm not going to bore you with that. Instead, what I'm going to say is this: if you create a calorie deficit and you consistently lose body fat, these places will go. I promise you. They might take longer than, for example, the fat around your stomach or the fat around your waist or the fat around your legs, but they will go eventually. You're just fighting evolution, and you're fighting millions and millions of years of natural selection in order to actually start losing fat in these places. So please do not give up. It's just your body's last line of defense. It's your body saying, okay, are you sure that you actually want to get rid of this evolutionary distribution of body fat? Are you sure that you actually want to get rid of all of this body fat? Because it's kind of like a survival mechanism in that sense. In much the same way as if you drive a car and you fully empty the tank, it will still keep driving for a few miles after the indicator says that it's on zero. And this is kind of just your car's way of saying, fuck, are you sure that you want to keep driving? Because I've got no petrol in my system now. And it starts running on the fumes and the residue still left in the petrol tank. Eventually though, that car will actually stop moving and be like, okay, you fucked it now. That's it, no more petrol left in the tank. And that's exactly what's going to happen to your body. If you consistently stay in your calorie deficit, start losing fat everywhere, then eventually the fat around your arms, the fat around your waist, the fat around your hips, the fat around your ass will start reducing. It's just going to take longer than anywhere else. So don't give up, don't get frustrated, it will go. Trust me. I hope that helps. I hope that makes sense. If you did like this video, feel free to give it a like. If you got any questions, feel free to comment below because I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And if you want to catch the next one, make sure that you're either subscribed to me or following me. Peace.